Hi, welcome back to a little bit of Calm and Crazy. My name is Jennifer, and today I have 3 Dollar Tree ways to brighten up your home for spring and summer. If you're new to my channel, hello and welcome. I hope you take a moment and introduce yourself in the comments below. If you have not hit that subscribe button, I would love it if you would hit it and join this family. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you do not know it, I am over on Instagram. It's a little bit of Calm and Crazy over there, just like it is here, and let's go ahead and jump right on into these fun spring and summer projects.
I know that this first one is not a novel idea, but I love grabbing some of the wrapping paper from the Dollar Tree, as well as a couple of hardbound books that I'm not currently using for whatever reason. If you don't have any, you can pick them up at the Dollar Tree, but I believe you could always find some for free, and free is better than even $1. There are so many different ways to cover a book, but let me go ahead and share with you the way I like to cover a book. So I begin by cutting my wrapping paper, and I like to cut where I have an extra 3 inches on the top and the bottom of the book. After I have my wrapping paper cut, then I fold my paper over so that it will match up with the height of your book so that you won't have any of your book popping through. So once you have your wrapping paper folded on the top as well as the bottom, now you're going to go ahead and begin covering your book. So by taking the wrapping paper and folding it over the front cover of the book, that will give you an idea of how much of the wrapping paper you're going to need to cut off on the other side, because you don't want to have too much excess wrapping paper. So here you see I'm now onto the back side. I flip my wrapping paper over once I get to the seam of the book, and that is cut off the excess wrapping paper. Once I have cut off the excess wrapping paper, I go back to where I folded it over that front cover, and I'm sliding my front cover right into where I folded it. I do that onto the front cover as well as onto the back cover. Now for any of those weird little paper pieces that might be popping out, I'm using these glue dots that I picked up at the Dollar Tree and just sticking them right on in, and that will fix that. You could also use double-sided tape. This really is such an easy way to just add a little bit of a pop of color or to change up your decor, and I love that it's just not a permanent way, kind of going old school again. This might age me a little bit by wrapping a book like this, but I went ahead and did the exact same thing using the white wrapping paper on another book. I took some twine, I wrapped around both books. I tied a knot in order to secure that, and then I finished it off with a bow. And I think this is the perfect addition to my spring decor. Now, I want to hear from you. Are you old enough to remember wrapping or covering your books in grade school, elementary school? Let me know in the comments below. I kind of want to know that I'm not alone. For project number 2, you will need 5 succulents. I prefer the smaller ones that come in the little pots from the Dollar Tree for this particular project. You will also need the round floral foam, some burlap. In this case, I've chosen to use the pink burlap ribbon. If you want to keep it neutral, you can absolutely just stick with the regular burlap ribbon, which I am using that as well, but I wanted to use the pink for the base and the burlap to create more like a bow effect. You're going to start off by covering your wreath form with the burlap ribbon. You will need to have 2 burlap ribbons in order to cover it completely. I like to secure it by using some hot glue and then wrapping the burlap around the form. Now, in order to not see the green through the form as I wrap, I will cover the previous wrapping of the ribbon by half, and that also keeps my ribbon about the same distance all the way around as I go, and you'll see that as I'm wrapping. Once you finish with 1 roll of burlap, again, just go in with some hot glue in order to secure that down, and then use some more hot glue to continue wrapping the next one until you are finished, using hot glue at the end to finish that off. You want to pull the succulents out of their pots and go ahead and get off any of the foam and extra glue and things like that that are attached to the bottom that really doesn't need to be there. Just take your scissors and it just cuts right off, and just get them all prepped and ready to be attached to your wreath. So I thought that just hot gluing the succulents to the wreath would be super easy, but you guys, it really wasn't. The succulents are really heavy, plus they don't really secure very well to the wreath. And so here you see that I'm prepping them and I'm trying to get off all the excess, and I thought this was going to be done in a matter of minutes. Well, all I got left with was a hot glue mess on my ribbon. So, if you want to try to go that route, you might get like the really hot glue and it may work and maybe you can find something. But let me go ahead and show you what I did that did work for me instead of showing you just what didn't. If you don't cut off your bottom, you will not have to do this step, but because I cut the bottom off of mine, I am just taking some of the floral wire. So if you have ever done this, this is one way that you can fix it. I'm just wrapping it around, making sure that it's nice and secure, weaving it in and out of the different petals. I don't want it to fall off. And once I have it weaved in and out of the different petals, I just take my wire and then I wrap it around the wreath form several different times. Once I felt that it was nice and secure, I cut the wire and then I just looped it through all of the wire that I had taken around a few times just for added security to make sure that it wasn't going anywhere, and just kept doing that in order to twist it around that bunch. And you guys, it stayed. Now let me go ahead and show you how I got the remaining 4 succulents onto the wreath. Using a small screwdriver, I went ahead and I placed a hole into the burlap, into the floral foam, and then I could get the succulent inside. Once I had all 4 succulents where I wanted them, or all 4 remaining succulents where I wanted them, I did go back in and I put some hot glue on the very tip of them, and then I stuck them back in for added security. Not guaranteeing that's going to do any good, but that's what I did just to make sure that it stayed. Taking the natural color burlap ribbon, I cut it at 6 inches and I fold it in half. And then after I fold it in half, I went ahead and used some hot glue in order to attach the 2 sides together. I'm kind of doing like a faux bow going around the succulents just to make them a little bit broader. I didn't want to add any more succulents because it would make the wreath heavier. And so the bow kind of adds a little bit more width to it without adding any more weight to it. There are a total of 6 burlap loops in order to create the faux bow. So I did start with that middle loop first, and then I'm doing the 2 sides around it, doing the exact same process where I add the hot glue on to the center in order to hold the loop together, and then I hot glue the burlap onto the wreath form. So I'm repeating the exact same process onto the bottom, where I start again with the center first, and then I will fill in the 2 sides, making sure that all of my loops are about the same distance out so that you really get that faux bow appearance. And then there you have it, a beautiful spring succulent wreath. I love this. If you haven't figured out by now, I hardly ever hang up my smaller wreaths onto a door. This would be beautiful onto a door, but I like to use them in other areas in my home, and they just add a nice little element. And this is the perfect pop of spring. For the last project, I picked up this sign from the Dollar Tree. It was all rolled up into a little plastic bag next to the garden section. It could have bit me on my bottom, and I swear I am so surprised I found it. This is one of those things that is just not sticking out. Your Dollar Tree, maybe it has it hung up somewhere, but just look, it might be all rolled up and folded into a plastic bag just like mine, but I love the wood grain pattern on it with the bright colored flowers. For this project, you will also need an 11 by 14 picture frame, some poster board that is also cut to 11 by 14. This pack of 4 does come from the Dollar Tree, and I love it. It is just so easy and convenient. I am going to start off by painting the picture frame with Waverly's chalk paint in mineral. I did pick this up at Walmart. If you don't know it, I do leave an entire supply list in the description box if you have any questions about where I got anything. Most everything is from the Dollar Tree, but if anything is not, it will be stated below. So I make sure that I paint the tops and the sides. This did take me a total of 2 coats of the mineral paint. Once everything was dried, I went in with Apple Barrel white acrylic paint, and I did a really light coat of a dry brushing using the 1-inch brush that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. And I just absolutely love how this worked on this picture frame. I think it turned out so perfect. Remember to go in with a light hand. You can always add more, you just can't take it away. But if you do add more than you want, don't worry about it. Just remember, it is just paint. While that is drying, we're going to work on our canvas, and as you can see, the canvas is larger than the 11 by 14 that we need, so I am going to be cutting this down so that it can fit inside of the frame. To start off, you're going to want to trim both the bottom and the top just to get that extra seam and extra fabric off, so you want to cut within the stitching. After that, you're going to take your 11 by 14 poster board and place it in the middle of your canvas, and then you're going to start folding your canvas around it and securing it with some tape, and this will give the canvas a little bit more structure so that it can sit a little bit more smoothly or securely within the picture frame. Once you have completed the top and the bottom and they are where you want them, then you can go ahead and you can trim up the sides to get that extra thick part off where that seam is. So you're going to do that to both sides. And then after you have that part done, then we need to do a little bit of trimming on the corners because it's a little bit thicker where the fabric or the canvas is folding over on itself. So here you see that I cut out like a little bit of a triangle at each of the corners, like just a little bit of a notch. To be honest, I would go in and I would cut out like a full square. Just get that whole thing out of there and not even worry about it. You're not going to see it once it's in the frame, and you'll see that I end up having to cut more of the canvas as I am wrapping it. So as I'm folding it over, see right here, I have to cut off that extra amount anyway. So save yourself the time and do it right the first time. But once you have all your corners trimmed up, then you can start folding your sides over and taping them onto the back of the poster board as well. And then your sign is completely secure, and we are now ready to go ahead and start reassembling everything into the frame. Here I'm showing you that I put in the glass first and then I put in the picture and the backing. In the end, I actually went ahead and put the picture in, then the glass because I like the weight that the glass gives it, and then I put the backing in. And I actually like that better because I like it to not have the reflection of the glass. Either way is great. It doesn't really matter. I think that this sign turned out so pretty and is just the perfect pop of color to add to your home for spring and summer. I would love to hear from you. What do you think? Will you recreate any one of these three? Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. Again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, I would love for you to hit it so you don't miss any future DIYs. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.